The fools in life want things fast and easy. Money, success, attention. Robert Greene. My friends, 10 to 15 minutes a day is all we ask for chart mastery. Be with us every day. Spend the time it takes, no matter how long it takes, to master these charts. Once you do so, the time you spent will quickly be made up for in your success. Just stick with it. You can do it. Now, let's jump into these charts and talk about what we see going on. Oh, by the way, at the end of today's video, I'm going to tell you about a new channel we are starting. I was working on it today. It's called Charting Crypto. And we're going to cover a number of cryptocurrencies, crypto-related stocks. I'll go through it in just a minute after we finish today's show, so stay tuned. If you're interested, if you're not, then just hang on for the quick ride through these charts. We see the S&P and the NASDAQ 100 up as we end the week. Bonds down, gold up, Bitcoin down. Look at this week. We had the weekly vertical crossover. Served you well, did it not, my friends? Price percent oscillator pulling away from the red signal line. Derivative oscillator heading up 0.75% just for the day today. Nice. Now, we go from the weekly to the 2-day. We do see some weakness here. We see where things popped up on Monday, that Friday-Monday candle popped up, and then they've slid sideways. Now, again, we had an update. These are Heikin-Ashi candlesticks we're looking at, but we can see how the indecision has crept in. Price percent oscillator, nonetheless, is up a little bit there on this latest 2-day candle as we move forward. This is, of course, completed drawing. Derivative oscillator losing some momentum. Check out this half day. This is where you can see where that drop occurred and then started moving back up again. Derivative oscillator still negative on the half day. Price percent oscillator is flat. So we'll pay close attention to how the new week starts off and which way this market is going to continue going or change. I'm guessing probably going to go up. What about the Qs? NASDAQ 100 up a booming 1.05% just on Friday. Price percent oscillator pulling away from the red signal line. Derivative oscillator positive heading up. Nice green up candle 2-day. Again, we can see where that weakening has occurred. A doji and then a red spinning top pushing through the 2-day trend line. Price percent oscillator positive, losing momentum. Price percent oscillator gaining a little bit, a little more than flat. Derivative oscillators losing some upward momentum. Now let's look at the half day. What do we see there? Well, we can see again, very similar to the S&P where things bottomed out, started moving up. Still negative on the half day. Price percent oscillator, derivative oscillator losing downward momentum. So how do you, you hear me say all these things, okay? What do you do with that? How are you processing it? Well, I hope you're filling out for today, your weekly market worksheet. That is available for free in your show notes every day. If you're not a subscriber, for free, go to chartingwealth.com, sign up. We also have instructions on how to fill those out. As you're listening, watching, writing it down, seeing it expressed through your pen or pencil on your paper, you see what's happening. You're able to look and try to assimilate all of these 3 time periods, and what you see happening are trend lines being penetrated, are trend lines getting steeper or weaker. What is happening with the derivative oscillator, price percent oscillator? What's your overall feel of what the charts are telling you is happening and where things are going? That is critically important for you over time to learn the personality of the stocks and or ETFs that you are charting, particularly those you're getting familiar with. You're learning them like your children, and you're able to assimilate all that information with the nuances you have picked up and use that to help you determine whether price is going up, down, or sideways. That is what this is all about, and that is what practice will give you. Perfect practice makes perfect, and boatloads of money. Once you get good at this and you start making up your own decisions on how you're going to spend your money. We're not a stock calling service. We're an education firm. You've got to practice trade for a while till you get the hang of this. Then you move into fractional trading, and only then do you consider any real money. In the meantime, what do? You save money, so you have something to trade when you figure this out. Let's go to the Qs. Wait a minute. Already gone through the Qs. Let's leave the Qs and go to 20-year bonds. Down for the day, 0.44%. We told you there might be a weekly vertical crossover. Check it out on the left-hand side of the screen, those of you listening. The PPO below the horizontal line shows us that it's 0.30. The average 8-period moving average line is, exponential moving average line is 0.28. So technically, there was a weekly vertical crossover. Derivative oscillator still negative, almost laminated, but it did occur, so I went ahead and marked it. Now, does that mean you pulled the trigger? Not necessarily. Look at the 2-day. We have a red down candle for the 2-day, pushing through, well, you can see it right there on the 2-day trend line. Still positive as far as the price percent oscillator goes. It's flat. Derivative oscillators, Greene, losing some momentum. So there's some real weakness there. That's the first solid red down candle we have seen since all the way back on the 21st of October. So that's a warning sign. What is the half day showing us? Many days of down movement. Price percent oscillator spiking down, derivative oscillator heading down. So would you have necessarily gotten into this on an up move? Not necessarily. If you did, why? Put that in your trade worksheet. Learn from this. No problem practice trading. No problem learning what happens with TLT on week crossovers this time of year. This is great training for you to do. But again, is it the kind of thing you would put real money on if you were doing so? Think of things that way. From one thing, no 10,000, as Miyamoto Musashi, who we like to quote here on the channel, the great samurai master, tells us. Now let's go from bonds to golds. A booming, not up all that much on Friday, but look at the weekly candle spiking up after we had the weekly vertical crossover 2 weeks ago, back on the week ending the 29th. My trade closed out earlier this week, and it was beautiful. In the green, quite nice. You know how much I love to trade gold. I took my money and ran. So we see the price percent oscillator moving up, derivative oscillator gaining upward momentum. What about that 2-day? Again, moving up. Doesn't look like, let's see, the high, 174.65, 174.67. So boom, did go just a little bit higher on that 2-day candle. Price percent oscillator, derivative oscillator moving up. What do we see on the half day? Again, slowing down in the angles. See, pay attention to the angles too on your trend lines. You know, are they just flat? Are they spiking? How accurate are they? Are you able to connect 3 or more candlesticks? The more candlesticks, the better the trend. All those kind of things are important. Now, lastly, let's go to Bitcoin. Down for the day, 2.63%. And of course, what do we see happening? Price percent oscillator flattening. Derivative oscillator going up just a little bit. Green up counter, you can see where things spiked up in the week, but do you notice how the candles have been getting smaller? It's nice to see a big wick on top, but you can see how much it devolved. Now check out the 2-day. What do we have happening? Well, check that out. Very close, not yet, hasn't crossed over going down, but we do see some warning here. Red spinning top, open box, means big slowdown in the up movement and lots of movement on the downside. Well, some on the downside, some on the upside. Indecision here. Price percent oscillator is going down. Check out that derivative oscillator on the 2-day, already negative. So if you took your profits and jumped, that's okay. That hasn't crossed over yet. And I don't ever discourage anyone from taking a profit on a practice trade. Never. You want to have a good reason for it, though. And you got some reasons here. Let's look at the half day. Of course, it crossed over going down in the morning after prior down movement on Thursday. So just continued to push down, blew through in the afternoon, the 2-day trend line sitting right there on the weekly. So keep all of that in mind as to your Bitcoin trade. Now, that is where we are on our four big charts and Bitcoin that we threw in. That is it for the standard show. If you'd like to know a little more about what we're working on, I've been spending some energy today putting together the new YouTube channel on charting crypto. Would you like to see what we're going to be charting? Well, we're going to be looking at, and again, there's some fascinating things going on in the Bitcoin cryptocurrency area of the market. What are those things? Well, it's things like, get this called up for you, or my charts. There we go. There is the ProShares Bitcoin Strategy ETF. Now again, we see the advent now of these ETFs that are being formed. This is as the Bitcoin futures market is formed. You can look at the weekly chart and see we're only 4 weeks into it. We don't have any kind of patterns at all yet. Those will be coming in the future. We can see again that the market is starting to formulate these things. It's exciting what is happening in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency space as a futures market is being developed, but it's going to take some time. More players will be coming into the market. That's the reason we're jumping in early to try to help you see just what's going on now. BITO, the ProShares Bitcoin Strategy ETF, like I said, that is Bitcoin futures. What about Valkyrie? This is an ETF, Bravo Tango Foxtrot. It is again another, it's another Bitcoin strategy ETF. And what it is it also deals with Bitcoin futures. And it is just starting to develop, just like we've seen with BITO. Now, Grayscale, you're familiar with that. We've looked at that a few times in the past. It's different than an ETF. It's a closed-end grantor trust. And again, it's set up to follow the Bitcoin desk, the CoinDesk Bitcoin Price Index. That's what it's indexed to. It is a closed-end grantor trust. And again, they own Bitcoin, and the value is set, like we talked about, by the CoinDesk Bitcoin Price Index. You'll see a lot of these ETFs that I'm going to be talking about are indexed. Now, some to Bitcoin, some to things like Ethereum, others to the Bitcoin economy, things like the crypto innovators, things like, again, different indexes, digital assets, those types of things as we go through and start looking at things to trade. And you can see how I've set up BTC with a weekly vertical crossover, with a 2-day recross, and looking at how we've already been charting it, how accurate things are, and what you can expect from being able to buy and sell, and again, practice trade these things to see how good you can get on them. The only way you're going to learn this space, my friends, is by devoting the energy and the effort to figure this stuff out, to start practice trading it, to see if you can find methods and techniques to profit off of it. If you can't, then of course, you don't need to be doing it. And how are you going to figure it out? Only by doing. We've got another one called the Amplify Transformational Data Sharing ETF, BLOK. 80% of the assets are in blockchain technology companies. So again, a way to get involved. And again, what are we looking for here? We're looking for charts that work. If you want to get involved in the Bitcoin space, what can you do? Well, you can start looking at companies that either are invested in Bitcoin, you can look at funds that are either invested in Bitcoin or companies that are invested in the crypto space that are then traded. Now, we're looking at ETFs. We're not going out after individual companies. And of course, what we see with BLOK is they're invested 80% in Bitcoin technology companies. Now, let's look at something like BITW. That again is one of these indexed funds that is, again, looking to invest and investing in the 10 large cap crypto index. That is what that is all about. And also what's interesting about this one that I liked is it's weighted by the market share. So Bitcoin, 65%, Ethereum, 25%, etc. That's how they invest. So I thought that was interesting. Again, not a lot of time yet on this. And we'll be watching these and just seeing, again, how this index continues to be set up, how it works itself through. Let's look again at, and that is just an index. And let's look at BLCN. What is it? Reality Shares NASDAQ Next Generation Economy. Now, this again is one of these ETFs that tracks the NASDAQ. It is, and this is an actual ETF that is invested in the NASDAQ Blockchain Economy Index, and it tracks it. And again, we're going to be looking for how accurate these things do that job on both the weekly, the 2-day, and the half-day will give us some ideas as to how we can follow intraday as you guys are used to. How about this one? LEGR, the First Trust Index Innovative Transaction and Processing ETF. So again, it tracks, it goes after the index that tracks the people that are getting the stocks and companies that are involved in innovative transactions and processing of cryptocurrencies. So that's an interesting one. Another one, BITQ, that is Crypto Industry Innovators. And looking at my notes here, it is another one that is involved in investing in companies and following companies that are in the crypto space and are innovating things. And just for the day, up 2.09%. We got another one called Global X Blockchain ETF. So again, another, and this one, as I'm looking at my notes here, tracks the Solactive Blockchain Index. Those are companies that utilize and benefit from digital assets and Bitcoin technology. So again, just another way to jump into that space. And of course, as we go along and as these start developing track records, some that have not been out long, we'll see how easy they are to track and in just what we can discover as we move through this space. Let's see, a couple more to go through. We've got the Van Eck Vectors Transformation, Digital Transformation ETF. And again, that tracks the MVIS Global Digital Assets Equity Index. Those are companies participating in digital assets economy. And then before we get to Ethereum, we got one more. This one, CRPT. Now, what does it do? CRPT, invests in companies driving innovation in the crypto and digital economy. And again, we'll be watching, waiting to see as these spaces develop themselves and start giving us charts to follow. We want to be there, be prepared, start watching early on to know which of these charts is going to perform for us and which is not. Now, I tell you a chart that performs quite nicely for us. Another one we've started setting up the tracking on is the Ethereum. This is another grayscale, ETHE. It tracks Ethereum, and it again is another one of these charts that is chartable and gives us some opportunities. That's where we are, folks, as we end the day on Friday. I'm excited about charting crypto, trying to decide how many of those shows we're going to do a week. I'm thinking probably one on Tuesday and another on Friday. We'll see how we develop this as we move along. Plan on knocking out that first show this next week, I hope. That's where we are. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.